Welcome to the deep dive. In today's world, well, everything's connected, isn't it?
It really is.
And securing remote access, it's not just nice to have, it's absolutely crucial.
Couldn't agree more.
Think about your own teams working from anywhere, or maybe trusted vendors needing access to specific systems. It's a real challenge. Now, for years, VPNs, virtual private networks, they were kind of the default answer, the main solution.
They were the standard, yeah.
But what if there's a way to simplify things, make access, even more secure, and maybe ditch some of the headaches that come with traditional VPNs?
That's the million-dollar question.
Well, today we're diving deep into Delinea's privileged remote access service. They promise just that, secure access, but without the VPN.
Right.
We're going to look at how they're trying to strategically shrink your digital footprint, which, let's face it, is a huge challenge for IT these days with threats everywhere.
It absolutely is.
So, okay, let's unpack this. How does it actually work, and what are the real benefits for you?
Well, what's really interesting here, I think, is how they're tackling a pretty common security problem by rethinking the basics of remote connection.
Okay.
So traditional VPNs, while they were definitely foundational, they often bring their own issues, complexity, potential vulnerabilities, especially when you're managing access for users with high privileges.
Right, the admin accounts and such.
Exactly. VPNs can be tricky to manage. They can potentially widen your network's attack surface. And sometimes, well, they just don't offer the agility you need today with remote work being so dynamic.
Makes sense.
So Delinea's approach, it feels like a direct strategic response to needing something more nimble, but still really solid on security.
So let's get into that core idea then. VPN-less access. Delinea's privileged remote access, or PRA, it gives secure access, mainly using RDP and SSH sessions.
Correct. Remote desktop and secure shell. Standard protocols.
But the big headline, the key difference, is it gets rid of the need for a traditional VPN entirely.
That's the main pitch, yes.
So for you listening, that means simpler access for remote folks, for vendors, and crucially, less exposure to threats.
And that removal of the VPN dependency, it's actually really significant when you think about the security implications.
How so?
Well, VPNs, often they kind of create a wider door into your whole network, right? They extend your perimeter.
Okay.
Which means if that VPN connection point gets compromised somehow, potentially more of your internal stuff is exposed than really needs to be. Like Linea's way. Instead, it streamlines the connection. Goes directly to the specific thing you need access to.
Just the one server or application?
Pretty much, which reduces that unnecessary network exposure. It's actively shrinking the attack surface, like not giving an attacker a giant open gate when all they really needed was access to one specific room.
Got it. Okay, let's talk practicalities. For the users, for the IT teams, one thing that jumps out is agentless deployment, meaning no extra software on the target systems themselves. Can you elaborate on that? Why is that a win?
Yeah, agentless is a big plus. For security and just managing things?
How?
Well, it means the security setup on your target machines stays exactly as you intended. You're not adding another piece of software that might have its own bugs or needs constant patching.
One less thing to manage and worry about updating?
Exactly. And then for the users, the web-based interface is just as important.
Okay, what's that about?
It uses a modern HTML5 web client, which basically means you can start and manage your RDP or SSH sessions right from your web browser, any browser.
Whoa, okay, so no installing special client software on the user's laptop either.
Nope.
That's quite different from the usual routine. How does that change things for the user and for IT support?
It's all about making it easy and fast. Users get access almost instantly from pretty much anywhere. Super important if you've got people scattered globally or vendors using different kinds of computers.
Right.
And from the IT side, it cuts way down on support calls about client configuration problems, compatibility issues, my client's is out of date kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can see that saving a lot of time.
It just works. Through the browser.
Okay, so simplifying access is one part, but the core promise seems to be about security. Multiple layers. Let's start with multi-factor authentication, MFA. Mandatory MFA.
Yes, foundational.
But is there more to it than just ticking the MFA box? Does it change the risk profile in a deeper way?
Oh, absolutely. It's way more than a checkbox. Think about how most breaches still happen. Compromised passwords, right?
Yeah, stolen credentials.
Yeah.
Still number one.
So by making MFA mandatory, non-negotiable for this kind of privileged remote access, Delinea isn't just adding a hurdle. They're actively trying to shut down that single biggest attack path.
Okay, neutralizing the most common threat vector.
Exactly. It seriously reduces that human element risk. It's a proactive step that honestly, a lot of places still struggle to enforce everywhere for all access.
And then architecturally, they say no inbound firewall rules are needed on the customer's network. That's another big one. No inbound rules. That sounds almost too good to be true for anyone who's fought with firewalls.
It really does sound like a dream for network security folks. Yeah.
How do they pull that off? And why is getting rid of those rules such a big deal?
Well, connecting it to the bigger security picture, removing inbound firewall rules is like a core principle of reducing your attack surface.
Right. Fewer ways in.
Exactly. Fewer open ports means fewer things for attackers to scan and try to exploit.
Yeah.
You're making it much, much harder for them to even get a toehold.
So how does it work without opening ports?
It uses what's called a reverse tunnel approach. We can get into the details maybe when we talk workflow, but the gist is your internal systems actually initiate the secure connection outbound to the Delinea service.
So the connection starts from inside your network going out, rather than you needing to punch a hole for traffic coming in.
Precisely. It flips the model.
Clever. Okay, and they layer on more. 2 advanced concepts: just-in-time access, JIT. Granting minimum permissions, only when needed, for a short time. Sounds powerful for security. But what's the hurdle for organizations used to giving people, standing admin rights? Is it tech? Or is it culture?
That's a great point. And honestly, it's often more cultural or procedural.
Really?
Yeah, IT teams and even users need to shift thinking from just, does the person need access, to why do they need it right now and for how long?
Okay, a change in mindset.
But the security benefit of JIT is huge. You're shrinking that window where elevated privileges exist. That dramatically cuts the risk of misuse or what an attacker can do if they do compromise an account.
Less time for damage.
Exactly. The tech setup is usually pretty straightforward, but changing habits, that takes work. But the payoff preventing attackers from moving around laterally, that's the big win.
Makes sense. And complementing JIT is the zero trust security model.
Right. The buzzword du jour.
Yeah, we hear zero trust everywhere. But practically, how does Delinea implement it so it's not just red tape? What's the core idea?
The core idea is really never trust, always verify. Simple as that, but profound. Imagine every single request to access something, doesn't matter if it's the CEO down the hall or a contractor overseas, is treated with the same initial level of, let's say, scrutiny.
Like showing ID every time you enter a room, even if you were just there.
Kind of, yeah. Instead of assuming anything inside your network is automatically trustworthy, Zero Trust constantly verifies every single attempt.
And Delinea builds that continuous check into the process.
They build it into the workflow, yeah. So you get that strong security without hopefully making it a massive headache for users to actually log in and do their jobs. But it does raise that fundamental question.
Yeah.
How much does Zero Trust really change how you think about security overall?
It seems like a fundamental shift away from the old castle and moat idea.
It absolutely is. Always verifying, never just assuming trust based on location.
So all these layers, MFA, no inbound rules, JIT, zero trust, they all add up to a smaller attack surface. You mentioned VPNs being targeted. Why is shrinking that surface so vital right now?
It's critical. And beyond those big concepts, Delinea also lets you set up granular access policies.
Meaning
admins can define very specific workflows, approval steps, things like that. It really tightens control and helps with compliance, ensuring access is handled just right.
Okay, fine-tuned control.
Yeah. And back to the attack surface, taking away those common entry points like VPN concentrators, which are constantly scanned and attacked, it just fundamentally makes your organization safer.
Fewer easy targets.
Exactly. You're closing doors that attackers know how to pick. And those granular policies, they ensure that even the access that is granted has been properly checked and authorized. It's controlled down to the specifics of who, what, when, and for how long.
Okay, let's talk use cases. One you highlighted is vendor and third-party access. That sounds like a notorious headache and risk area for companies.
Oh, it absolutely is. Often a huge blind spot.
How does Delinea PRA help specifically there?
Well, it's huge because onboarding vendors securely can be a nightmare. I remember one client, seriously, spent weeks just trying to get VPNs working right for one contractor across different systems.
Oh, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Delinea's approach cuts through that mess. Vendors can get access to just the specific systems they need without needing, say, a full account on your internal domain and without needing a VPN client setup.
Simpler for them, simpler for IT.
Right. And critically, all their activity can be closely watched and recorded, which means much less risk and better accountability when you're dealing with outsiders touching your systems.
So better security, and it makes working with vendors easier.
Yeah, it's a great example of where good security can actually speed things up, not slow them down.
Okay, let's walk through the actual process, the session workflow, from the user's point of view. Sounds pretty simple.
It is designed to be, yeah.
So first, to launch a session, the user goes to the PRA web application. That connects securely to Secret Server. Remind us what Secret Server is in this context.
All right, Secret Server is Delinea's core privileged access management, or PM, solution. It's the vault that securely stores and manages all those sensitive credentials, admin passwords, SSH keys, etc.
Okay, so the passwords aren't exposed directly.
Exactly. PRA talks to Secret Server, figures out what systems this user is allowed to access, and shows them the options. The user just clicks Launch for the server they need, RDP or SSH.
Okay, simple click. Then what happens? The browser session part.
When they click Launch, PRA sets up that reverse tunnel we talked about directly to the protected system inside your network.
Ah, the outbound connection from the inside.
Yep. And then a new tab opens right in their browser. And boom, there's their RDP desktop or their SSH command line session running securely inside the browser tab.
Right in the browser. No separate RDP client popping up.
Correct. It's all contained within that secure browser session.
Got it. And finally, end session.
User finishes their work, they close the browser tab or log out of the session. The connection disconnects, that reverse tunnel is torn down immediately. And crucially, the fact that the session occurred, who launched it, what credential was used out, all of that gets logged back into Secret Server for auditing and reporting.
So a full audit trail. It really does sound, well, quick, easy, and secure like they promise.
That's the goal.
Okay, let's recap the direct benefits for you, the customer, based on all this. First, it leverages existing investment. If you're already using Secret Server, cloud, or on-prem, it plugs right in.
Seamless integration, yeah.
Second, streamlined deployment. No messing with VPN clients or local RDP SSH clients on user machines.
Big time saver.
Third, secure remote access for workers. Easy access to Windows servers and also NIX servers. That's their term for Unix and Linux systems.
Right, the non-Windows world.
All from basically any browser accessing systems inside your private clouds. Fourth, a clean source. What does that mean exactly?
It means because the session is running isolated in the browser, there's no direct network path from the potentially messy user workstation to your clean server network. So
yeah.
Much lower risk of malware jumping across.
Ah, okay. Good point. And fifth, VPCs stay private. Virtual private clouds, those secure bits of the public cloud. The architecture avoids needing extra open firewall ports into those private spaces.
Keeping your cloud segments properly isolated, yeah.
So yeah, their tagline, get work done, quick, easy, secure, seems to fit.
So stepping back, what does all this really mean for you? Whether you're running IT, focused on security, or just someone needing to work securely from different places?
Yeah, what's the bottom line?
Well, these benefits, they translate directly into, first, better efficiency, cutting down on those traditional IT support hassles around VPNs and clients.
Right, less friction.
Second, a genuinely stronger security posture by really shrinking that attack surface and layering things like MFA and GIT.
Yeah.
And third, better compliance. Think about audit time.
Audit fatigue is real.
Totally.
Yeah.
But with Delinea PRA, because every session, every action is automatically logged, tied to a user, tied to a credential, and it's all immutable. That's gold for auditors.
Makes sense.
It takes a lot of the manual pain out of proving who did what, when. It turns that audit prep chore into something much more automated. So yeah, by simplifying access but not compromising on security, they're hitting some major pain points for today's world.
So wrapping this up, Delinea's privileged remote access really does position itself as a strong alternative to relying solely on traditional VPNs.
It seems that way, yeah.
The focus is on simplicity, agentless, web-based, but backed by serious security layers. Mandatory MFA, just-in-time, zero-trust principles.
Multiple layers.
Plus that granular control, especially key for tricky areas like vendor access. We've seen how it aims to boost security, cut complexity, and just make access smoother.
And this deep dive into Delinea PRA, I think it really highlights a bigger shift happening in how organizations can think about secure remote access.
How so?
Well, given how distributed workforces are now and how relentless the threats are, it forces you to ask, how might this evolution, this move towards more granular, verified, time-bound access, fundamentally change the way you think about security and permissions in your own environment?
That's a good question to ponder.
Is your organization really ready to move beyond just the old perimeter defenses and embrace something more dynamic, more focused on verifying every single access attempt?
Food for thought indeed. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into secure remote access.
My pleasure.
We hope this discussion has given you some valuable things to consider as you navigate these critical security challenges.